Okay, calling the meeting to order today. We have a quorum here and online, so we can go ahead with our organization of recommendations to make to the city. Ashley, is there anything you'd like to say? If there's any particular advice for us on this day other than keep cool?
No, I think the one thing I would like to remind you all is that we should probably do declarations of any conflicts of interest. And as I think everybody's aware, if you're declaring a potential conflict of interest, you declare that the potential conflict exists, that you still believe that you can be impartial, and you essentially just put it on the record. A potential conflict exists that when making a decision could potentially impact you, a business for which you're associated, or a family member financially. When you have an actual conflict of interest, you need to declare that conflict, and then you cannot participate in any of the discussion or the decision on the matter. An actual conflict of interest is whether the impact of a decision would certainly impact you, a business for which you're associated, or a family member financially.
So for our members, we could just see if we can declare any potential conflicts or actual ones.
I don't believe I have a potential conflict of interest for me personally or my business. I am on the chamber board, which is a applicant, and my tenure with that will end in a month. But there's no direct conflicts that I feel are actual.
Okay. As a board member, do you receive any compensation from the chamber?
No.
Okay, so great to declare, but it would not actually be the legal definition of potential conflict, because you are not essentially gaining financially through awarding them a contract or awarding them a grant.
Yeah.
My own position is that I am a member of the Cannon Beach Gallery Group, operate an art gallery, and would be impacted financially by decisions made about the applications. There are 4 applications from the Cannon Beach Gallery Group. I think there's sufficient appearance of conflict here that I should recuse myself from making declarations, though I would make myself and information available for questioning throughout by members of the panel if I can supply actual facts rather than.
Recused last.
Yeah, you recused all,
Last year.
all 3.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I feel I should recuse myself even on the basis of appearance.
I don't believe I have any conflict of interest on any of this.
Have any conflict of interest on anything?
Mike Morgan, can you weigh in on your own positions?
I don't believe I have any conflicts of interest.
And
Greg Hill.
I don't believe we have Steve. Is Steve? There's Steve.
Yes, so I will declare that I am also on the Chamber Board of Directors, but I'm not compensated in any way by the board or the chamber. I will, as owner of the Wine Shack will be a venue location for the Clatsop Animal Assistance Savor Cannon Beach. So I don't know to what extent they will be purchasing anything from me, except just we're a venue location, and I am not charging them a venue fee. So I think there's a potential conflict, but I don't think there's an actual conflict.
Okay, and you still believe you can be impartial in making a decision that relates to that?
I believe so. I've done it in the past.
Okay. I think we've heard from all of the committee individuals in attendance. So let's go ahead with our recommendations.
Bring in all the numbers and then go back and discuss, or?
What we might do is go ahead and survey folks to put together an initial round and then return to discuss those, though it might be in order if there is a number particularly chosen to indicate why you've chosen some number other than a grant request. The actual TAC funding available this year is not on this particular sheet. And we,
400,799 at the very bottom.
That's what, yeah, Jennifer,
That's the tax.
yeah, that's it.
400,000,
799.
799.
And the amount that's requested is what?
494,311. Is that correct?
494,671, that's what I had.
Oh,
Okay, then I'm wrong and Jennifer's right because she's always right.
And in the Cannon Beach Gallery Group requests, there, as noted in the presentation, there is potential of about 15,466 in duplicated requests done because individual grants cannot be given in excess of the actual application amount. And in the event that our digital social media contract renewal is not funded, some of that funding that would have been there used for the individual events is built into the individual events. So it should not be awarded twice, but only once if that is the will of the committee.
I ask, is this reserve number, Jennifer, what's currently in the reserve? That's correct, 17,000.
I didn't have a number.
Hey, where did you
Oh,
get
I
that?
have a number down here at the bottom.
You must have a different page.
I have a
62821.
No, I don't have that.
Worksheet that you sent us?
I don't have that. I didn't print that one.
It's just a formula that's blank.
Mine shows $17,149.
Yeah, I was,
That sounds about right of what should be in the reserve, but
yeah, I was just like, because mine,
Okay.
the Excel spreadsheet, it's taking the TAP funding minus the amounts that we would award, but I don't have a number in that
okay,
amount.
no
so-
problem. That's fine.
Oh, I wonder, did you fill in any numbers on yours?
I did.
So that's why it's a formula, so it's pulling two numbers.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what it's doing. Yeah, it's pulling the reserves. Yeah.
understood. That number makes sense given what
Excel.
like, what my awards were. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry. Okay.
Same one. 10/22/20. Yeah. Date. Yep.
Okay, if we can go down and survey the individual members' recommendations, beginning with the Cannon Beach Arts Association Artist Program.
I'm gonna call the name.
The ask was, the ask was 33,640.
Yeah.
Okay, let me make sure I got the right one.
First, if you do the worksheet, Stevens first and then go across.
There you go.
Sure.
My funding is 30,000.
Okay. And my funding being next up was 30,276.
Mine's 30,000.
Mine's 30,200. Guess we need.
And Mike Morgan?
I recommend the full amount, 33,640.
33,640.
And
Right, 30,000. Big Allen, we don't know.
Greg Allen not available? Okay.
Arts Association.
And then Union not.
We have
Lush Lush.
this is the Arts Association request for what is Blush Lux, formerly known as Union Knot. We can go through that.
15,000.
Let's see. I'm in at 22.5.
I'm 25,000.
And I am at 20,000, 20,000 even.
Mike Morgan,
So this is just for the makeup deal, not the WOW.
that is correct.
Separate.
Okay. I guess I'll recommend 10,000 for that.
Okay,
20,000.
Greg Allen.
and no Greg Allen. Okay, our next one,
How are we gonna do this?
actually, let's stay on this same theme and move to the food pantry WOW.
Okay.
The WOW event.
Where's that on here?
It's not on the old sheet, right?
It's not on the old sheet. that
Oh, it
was
actually
just-
is.
7?
Oh, it is number 6, right?
Oh, the 6.
7 or 6.
Yeah.
Wow, Cannon Beach.
And for WOW Cannon Beach, should we go in reverse order so we don't always put Steve at the front?
Sure.
Then that would be me,
Yeah,
25.
So Greg S.
and Mike Morgan for
10
WOW,
10,000.
okay.
I'm at 25,200.
I'm at 28,000.
I'm at 25,000.
Mr.
And
Seacliff,
20,000.
20,000.
20,000. Okay.
Which one are we going to now?
I have
Mr.
a series. For the-
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
just a question. Are we we're going to discuss the merits of each of these by,
Yes. Yeah, well,
when we circle back? Okay.
absolutely. We will circle back because there will be some questions and opportunities for individuals to adjust any amounts based on that discussion. There are a series of Cannon Beach Chamber of Commerce events here.
Mhm.
I'd like to start with the culinary event.
Culinary. Which way do you want to go?
And Steve, shall we jump back to you?
Yes, 30,000.
I'm sorry, which one are we on?
The
Culinary.
culinary event, the Cannon Beach Chamber of Commerce,
North Coast Culinary.
North Coast Culinary.
Okay.
The request was 40,000
I'm at 30,000.
and I'm at 32,000.
I'm at 20,000.
And so am I, 20K.
Okay,
Mike Morgan.
Mike Morgan
20,000,
I didn't hear it.
at
20.
He's at
20.
Greg
30.
Sounds good.
and Greg Allen.
Not here.
Not here. Okay, let's reverse this and go backwards for the next one. The welcome sign.
Uh,
The request was $70,000.
70.
Mike Morgan,
Well, I'm gonna say 0 until I have a chance to understand
sure.
more about this.
Yep. Greg Bell,
35,000.
I'm at 30,000.
and I am at 0 as well. And then Steve,
50,000.
50,000.
50?
50.
Okay.
And Steve will stick with you coming back with a Fat Bike Festival. Request of 15,450.
12,500.
And I'm at 15,450.
I'm at 15.
I'm at 15,450.
And Mike Morgan,
10,000.
Greg Swedenborg,
Sorry, 15,000.
and Greg Allen, not present. The video production request for 15,750. Let's reverse this guy again, try to,
10,000.
and Greg, let's see, Mike Morgan,
12,000.
Greg Bell, please.
$14,000.
I'm at 15.
And I'm in there at 15,750. Steve?
15,000.
15.
15 even, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
No Greg Allen.
Okay. The next on this odd list I've made is Coaster Theater Special Events funding. Their request came in at 49,600. Steve, can we reverse this again? You're up.
44,000.
And I'm at 44,640.
40,000 for me.
I'm at 27,275.
Ooh,
275. Mike Morgan, please.
49,600.
600
45,000.
and 45,000. Okay. The Tolovana Arts Colony, their Comedy Fest. So if I can reverse that again and start with Greg Swedenborg.
8,000.
Mike Morgan,
8,000.
Greg Bell, please.
6,500.
5,000.
Oh. And I'm in at 11,751.
11,751.
Aren't you feeling generous?
Number.
I was, yes. Steve Sinkler,
6650.
6650.
wow.
Just trying to copy me.
Okay. On how about Tolovana's Get Lit?
Here
I bet I know what these numbers will be.
we go. How do you know these things?
Guessing.
Steve,
31,000.
Oh,
and I'm at 30,600.
I'm at 34.
And I'm with Julie at 34.
And Mike Morgan,
34.
30,000.
And no Greg Allen.
okay. Savor Cannon Beach.
Saver.
And if we can reverse this one again, and
40,000.
Oh, Greg. Okay.
that's Greg's in, okay. Mike Morgan, please.
I'm sorry, I'm looking for the application. What was the request?
Savor Cannon Beach, a request of 46,433.
849.
849. I
849.
had 46,849.
Oh,
Are you
The
looking?
last year's was 44.
I'm sorry, that's my, yeah.
25,000.
And Greg Bell,
$46,849.
I'm at 30,000.
I'm at 46. 849. Steve Sinkler,
42,000.
42,000. Okay,
Saver.
that leaves the Cannon Beach Gallery Group.
Oh, cottage tour.
I missed the cottage tour. Let's do that. Cottage tour,
Where's
a
cottage tour?
request of 31,150. Steve,
28,000.
8,000?
28.
Oh, 28.
28,28.
Thank you.
I'm at 31,150.
I'm at 31,150.
I'm at 31,150.
And I'm at 31,150.
21,150.
And no Greg Allen.
Now we get to the Cannon Beach Gallery Group.
Can you hold for a second? What was Greg Swedenberg's number for that?
21,150.
21,150. Okay.
Mhm. Would you,
I mean, I can do it, but I don't think it's hurts if you do
You
it.
can call it, Jim. You can just do that.
yeah, I think for this, there's no leverage.
You're just recusing, you're just calling it. Yeah.
Exactly. So Greg Swedenborg,
Which one are we on? There's four of
oh,
them.
I'm sorry.
So sorry, this is where you have the actual conflict of interest here.
This is correct.
I would just have Jennifer call it just to
Oh,
be
okay.
Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
That's
safe.
fine.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay. So it's digital social media.
Okay.
Steve Sinkler,
15,000.
Jim is recused.
I'm recused.
I'm 18,000.
Greg Bell,
22,400.
Mike Morgan,
10,000.
was that 10,000?
Yeah.
Okay. And Greg Swinburne.
18,000.
Okay, so Earth and Ocean Arts Festival,
Earth and Ocean.
Greg Swinburne,
40,000.
Mike Morgan,
I'm looking for my notes. Hold on. Uh, 20,000.
Greg Bell,
32,000.
Julie,
45,000.
Steve,
44,000.
okay, now it's spring unveiling. We'll go with Steve,
10,150.
Julie,
10,000.
I'm sorry, what was that? 10,000?
10,000, yeah, sorry.
Greg Bell,
2,700.
Ooh,
Mike Morgan,
8,000.
and Greg Swinburne.
9,000.
Okay, stormy weather. Let's start with Greg Swedenborg.
7,500.
Mike,
7,000.
Greg Bell,
We're on stormy weather.
Stormy.
$6,000.
I'm 7,500.
Steve,
7,500.
What was Greg, what was yours on that?
7,500.
Ooh.
Okay. Completes those numbers. We may, I think, just go right back up to the top to discuss these individually. We can go back to where we started.
That first one is so close, I'm not even sure there's anything to discuss. It's like,
In the Arts Association?
yeah, I mean, the number is pretty darn close. What, do you have the formula there that would say, given what we just said, what their what the number would be?
30,686,
30,600.
and that would be 91% of the amount requested.
Gotcha.
Those numbers are all running pretty close in there. Any comments anyone feels compelled to make there? Okay. Moving down to their next program, the Blush.
So I have a total of 18,750, which would be 75% of the request.
There's a fair range in here.
I just feel like there's just so much potential with this.
I agree. Gotta give it a chance. And 75% funding is pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Non-
I
non-traditional.
will move up. We'll move up to 20,000 off of 15,000.
Jennifer has to do quick math on Excel.
So that becomes 19,583 and 78% of the ask.
Cool.
That's not bad.
Very good.
Well, let me jump in here since I'm the
Please.
Grinch. I mean, I'd like somebody to explain to me how, a makeup, festival fits in with, the goals of the TAC or the TAF. I mean, sure, it could bring some people to town. I've got a problem with the whole concept because I don't think it's something that, I don't know. Like I said, I'm an old hippie. I just can't, see that as being something that we want to promote. But given the fact that, they're asking for basically, I'm not looking at the application right now, but it was very, very close to 100% of the funding. I mean, aren't they supposed to have some skin in the game from their ticket sales or other sponsors or whatever? Well, let's start with the first thing. I mean, why, Julie, you're the prime advocate of this thing. Why is it such a great and worthy event?
Well, and with your first comment, makeup counts as art. It may not in your eyes, but I do think there's a lot of artisan work when you're doing makeup, whether it's for a play or just for going out every day. And I'm a non-makeup wearer and saying that. I'm not the target market for this event at all. So I do feel like it checks the art box. It may not be in your eyes, but I feel like there's an explanation for that with that. And I also feel like it's upscale. It's bringing the right people to town. It's bringing the right people to town in the down season. This is a great time to bring people to town, not in the middle of summer, but in the beginning dark days of winter. And so I think the target market is right on, and I think it could be something that would bring girlfriends and families back year after year after year. So I think it's a really interesting event and kind of unexpected, not unexpected for Cannon Beach, but kind of unexpected. I don't know. I just think it looks like our town.
To one of Mike's points, I kind of broke down all of the applications in general categories. I had this event along with WOW dropped into what I consider a kind of crossover hybrid that's partly general promotion of tourism and partly theater, in fact. Because there'll be so much public engagement. I've got the arts focus on a number of events, and some like the welcome sign, the fat bike video and culinary that I put into kind of general tourism promotion. In my mind, always subject to the interpretation of individual members. And their overall budget for this event is like $46,800. There's probably crossover between that and WOW. And when I look at the WOW budget, it seems to me there's some crossover, cross promotion between these two.
Because it's happening at the same
It's
time.
happening the same day.
They definitely have skin in the game with regard to tons of volunteer work that they're doing. They are utilizing their space, all their spaces, the 3 that they have. And I don't know, I think they're working hard on it. I don't feel like there's some other ones in here where I feel like we're paying all their budget. I think they definitely have skin in the game. And you said, what, 46% of the budget is what they were asking for? I mean, 85.
No, it's,
I believe it's about $45,000 was their budget.
yeah. So this is over half of the budget requested in here. So
85%.
My opinion, I don't know about, I don't discard that it might be art. I could be convinced that it certainly is, but in my personal opinion, women spend money. And this brings women to town and they spend money. Hotels, restaurants, wine shacks
In November.
in November, before Christmas. So for me, and we've done this before where we've had a first time event. I know this is like their second year, but it's kind of didn't really get off the ground and we funded it to see what would happen. So I kind of want to fund it to see what'll happen because I think it might work with the WOW weekend. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, we'll revisit it next year. That's how I look at it.
Well, I like the fact that she was also talking about, doesn't have to be in November. We can take it off a WOW weekend and stick it in the last weekend in February. It's like, sounds good to me.
Yeah. That's how I saw it.
My comment would follow Greg's very much in that, I think this is a very flexible event. It brings the right demographic in terms of people who spend money and it's not the same silos of, it's kind of a crossover event, like you mentioned. I took it down a little bit because I have a feeling until you said that they're donating their space, I kind of felt like this is a one business adventure or experiment. What I heard on the partnership of reaching out to things like maybe the yoga studio or maybe spas and things like that, I didn't get a real feeling that a lot of that was going on. And would like to see more of that because to make it bigger or around town type of thing. But I do think this is it's worthy of taking a look and let's see how it goes.
okay, is there any desire for anyone to look at their numbers and reassess?
I've said on my part.
So they're ending up at 19,583.
Is that what you had, Jen?
19,583,
Great.
And that's 78%, right?
78%.
Thank you.
Okay. WOW follows, it's the same day event here. And
Wow, here we go.
looking at their budget, there's some certainly trying to cover all bases. Some of them I questioned in terms of the total amount, like even the sanitation stations that are probably not going to be required in November of 22. There might be some things there that are unnecessary, but then that's.
What does that number end up to be, Jennifer? On the WOW.
Wow weekend.
Is 22,200, which was 70%.
It's not bad.
What isn't? I was just encouraged that maybe it's come back with a vengeance like it was before. I applaud Bridget for taking it on because it's a big ask to try to run that one. So that was where I was at.
Take over after Wendy. Bridget's a good,
Yeah, she seems confident this is a high energy experiment.
Yeah.
DARPA funded Moderna to the tune of 25 million a few years ago and led to messenger RNA.
There we go. There we go. I see how that fits.
Yeah, right. How about the culinary event?
Anybody want to change it?
Sure.
Wow. Can I change mine from 25 to 30?
Sure. Makes Jen have to do math again.
Brings it up to $23,033,
Which is
73%.
23,000.
23.7, you said?
$23,033,
Oh, and $33.
I'm sorry, Jen, and the percentage was
73.
73. Okay.
Okay, then the culinary event. This is an interesting one because we had funded them to the tune of 31,143 in a prior year. And then an additional 40,000 requested this year.
My comment is it's a hell of a lot of money for 150 room nights.
I'm sorry, which one are we on? I missed that.
We've moved on to the culinary event, the North Coast Culinary Event.
Sorry, this doesn't track exactly what's on my spreadsheet.
No, ours either.
No, not on ours either.
Jim has his own.
Jim's moving around. Yeah, that's seven, I mean, so we gave them, we recommended $31,000
Right.
last year, and now they're coming back for another 40. That's a lot of money.
So I said 20, it puts him at 51 and change, right?
Yeah,
Did I give you their total number?
no,
Not yet,
hold on, let me find it again. Preliminary. Okay, what's your,
$25,333,
I mean,
At, how many, what's the percentage, Jim?
63%.
63.
Yeah,
So. What is that, $56,000?
I mean, I like the event.
450 room nights.
I'm excited about the event. I just think it's a lot. We've already given them a lot of money.
As Jim pointed out, they're asking for 85% of their budget.
Right.
For a ticketed event, I said, why don't we just write a check to the
To the
chef?
chefs.
I don't know, it just seems really expensive to me. For something they intend to be self-sufficient. I get that they had to take a year off and everything, but man, 85% of your budget is a lot to ask for.
Fair amount in there for planning and coordination. It's a rather
get that.
substantial number, and it's been in 2 requests.
Yep.
For the same.
Yes, it has been. And I guess what I should have done was I should have saved, I'm sure Jennifer has it out there. I don't remember what their budget said they were going to spend that $31,000 on for this past year. What were they
Go back to
spending
the
it on?
prior application. But a lot of it would have gone for that same planning and event coordination.
Wasn't this the one where they were buying the dishes?
That's
Yes.
for this
Yes.
year's budget,
Yeah.
not the 31,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Already got them.
so
everything was returned last year except for 31,000. Is that what you're saying?
31,000.
they got all their money for last year.
They
They
didn't have
didn't
them.
return
They
anything.
did, we've
That
seen
event?
nothing returned.
No, remember their point was, we need to ask for this money ahead of time to keep it going, blah, blah, blah.
And the application states this is supplemental to,
Yes.
That's great.
and they
I
avoided
asked, I
answering the
asked about the
question.
question.
What,
This is on top of that, right?
question 7,
Yeah.
they did not give us the percentage of the overall budget that it is in their application.
Okay.
So part of that was buying linens and dishes, which they say they have a place to store. I mean, I looked into that before for something else and it's not pretty, so whatever. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I like the event. I just think that's just a hell of a lot of money.
And I agree. I shaved off what, 10,000 because I feel it needs to be a little bit lower. I also feel it was successful one year and, you know, we have some in here that have been going for 75% of their budget for multiple years. And some of them as far as 10 years.
Yep.
So getting to that, if you say you're going to be self-sustaining and you prove successful year 1, then kind of let's try it again year 2. But you only have 1 or 2 more years of doing that.
Eventually, you need to be weaned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's my thought process is we are at the beginning of the weaning stages for this event. And I'd like to see it succeed. I think, you know, it has potential and it's ticketed and all the things we want. But I agree at this stage, the cost per room night, it doesn't pan out, you know, the investment. But it's hard. You can't put a number on that because those people come back and do other things, not just room nights.
Start buying linens and dishes, and maybe you buy one thing a year. Maybe today it's the linens,
Yeah.
and then the glassware comes second, but doing it all at once when you have an event that's, this is going to be the second year. We hope it's around, but if it's not, then what are you going to do with the linens and the glassware and this,
Yeah.
Well, I'd
who
like
owns
to,
that?
you're pointing out what the impact of the individual event might be, that sort of primary first order response. The other question in my mind is, does this build a second order response with reputation causing people to return in future years that will not be measured by room nights on the event night? That if we build that culinary destination image stronger, does that reinforce business at other times?
I mean, to me, it's an audience that I think we already have that reputation. I don't think that's like, oh, I never thought of Cannon Beach as a place to go eat before. Of course they did. It's a wonderful place to come eat. And so, I don't know. I don't think that's an issue for me.
Okay.
I would like to see them build more room nights in because they are limited by how many people, at least until the school's done. They're limited by how many people they can get in a room to eat.
Sure.
Or restaurants, same deal. So when they get to that point, or when there's a school building or something like that, maybe they can go for more people and maybe do like Sabre, where you Thursday night, Sunday night, you start building on either end of that weekend and you get into more room nights than just 150.
Yeah.
But I mean, that comes with time and it comes with venues. So.
Yep.
Okay. Is everyone comfortable with their numbers? Are there any changes that the committee members would make? I think we should just total the culinary ones
Okay.
until such time as we see what the overall budget impact is when we get to the bottom line of our bottom line.
What's the next
So
What do you want to do next, Jim?
the welcome sign.
Okay.
Well, there are two of us who've zeroed that. I know what my criteria was, but
I struggled with it. I do struggle with it.
Mike,
Well, my point of view is, has this been fully vetted with the city? And I mean, is the council, do you have any idea that the council is going to support this? I think there's been a lot of resistance in the past to having, signs, big signs anyway, at either end of town. It's not, Cannon Beach isn't a place that needs to have signs to get people in the door. I mean, I could barely get around all the cars that were coming to Midtown today when I was coming home. And, I mean, of course, it's the middle of the summer and it's 108 degrees in Portland, or 112. But my point is, I think there's a philosophy that subtlety is better than, the seaside model of a giant lighted sign. And I think that 35,000 per sign would buy you something with lights and a little splashier than we want to project as as an arts and a community that has, a lot of, I don't know what the term is, but we're not Seaside, we're not Lincoln City, we're Cannon Beach. The other thought that I had was, do they want to spend that money on a reader board that would say, there's no parking left downtown, folks. How about consider going to Tolovana or Midtown? But I guess that's another discussion. But if we agree to do this and the council agrees to do this, I would urge that it become an art event and that you go out for an RFP from artists that would do something very low key and tasteful and not lighted. I mean, one of those signs is out in the county. I don't even know if it's allowed out there, on the north end. The other one's on ODOT property at the south end. But I think, some sort of competition or proposal competition would be in order. But, there's nothing has been fleshed out on this at all that I'm aware of. So
If you read the ask, I believe that Jim said the idea was to make it an RFP or a competition within artists in town.
That was in the presentation.
That was in
Yeah,
the
that's what was in
presentation.
the presentation.
Okay, sorry.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yep.
So this would be a little bit different than some of the other funding requests. It would be a tourist related facility. The one box I would not need checked, and I assume this is the case, but some sort of statement or information that the sign would last for more than 10 years because it has to be, improved real property with a useful life of 10 years or more. So did they discuss that at all?
Yes,
Yes.
that was part of the presentation as well. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm assuming it's affirmative, lasts longer than 10 years.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was the other zero funded individual here. My own feeling is that this consideration should come out of the city's general fund, not TAC related. Though knowing if it does go through TAC, it would go through design review and the other requirements that the city has to deal with how its design would work and whether or not it would in fact ever be lit. All of those things, I think, would automatically be covered. But my own feeling is that I don't think this is the budget for it.
And I kind of struggled with that too, where it's like, I don't feel like we should pony up all of it. I feel like the city should have some skin in the game too, since it is a city thing, but I feel like it also is welcoming tourists to town. Since the south one has disappeared, got blown down or whatever the hell happened to it. I have noticed I've had more people that come up from the coast say, we missed the sign. We had to turn back around at the thing. And it's like, okay, so people are actually seeing those signs. They actually do something. Since that one got blown down, I've noticed people have actually said that to me. So it's like, okay, if people are paying attention to it, then maybe my idea was with 30,000 or 35, whatever. I was at 35. My thought was we do half, city does half. Because the city's going to have something in the game anyway, because they have to. So that's kind of where my head was, because I understand what you're saying too, which is like, but I do feel like it does welcome tourists to town.
That's exactly how I got to my number. Half, because I felt like,
Have to,
yeah, 35K, right? So
yeah.
my personal opinion, this is a city problem, not a tourism and art problem. That's the city's signs, not ours. And I thought that the city or the park, somebody should have ponied up and done something about it when they started to fall apart in the first place. And the fact that, to Mike's point, the fact that they're dilapidated or falling down doesn't look very well for Cannon Beach. We look like a dump. So something needs to be done either to remove them entirely or put something else up.
Well, Mother Nature took care of the one to the
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
So my take on it, and I'm the fully funded one, is that this has been brought up for times, multiple years. The city's not doing anything about it. So what the chamber is doing is saying, hey, we will take it on, but we need funding because we can't just do it. I think the funding is, it's TAC or general fund, it doesn't matter. It's all city money. It's that this money is bound by OSR 320. And this, I think, the sign project meets enough criteria to push the envelope on that for me. So 10 years, welcomes tourists, promotes the visibility of the town. I think you can push the envelope of the ordinance there that this is one money well spent. And it's not going to something, that it's physical and it's there. And I like the idea of having the artist community be part of that. And I think they should be paid if whoever ends up doing it.
Absolutely.
So it's a way to do that. And I've mentioned it many times in other meetings that I think we should push the envelope a little bit more with that and use it that benefits the community and visitors alike, and not be so centric to heads and beds and that matrix. So to me, this is someone thinking outside the box, saying, hey, let's use those funds that, quasi, what they're used for or not, but let's go do it. Now, whether the sign costs 70,000, I don't know.
Right.
And I would expect that if they get in the process and they need more money, then maybe the city says, okay, we'll put that in. But
I'm going to go up to 35.
so that was my take on it.
Yep.
You, Greg.
I was doing half. So I'm going up to 35, Jennifer, on that.
I have adjusted.
Thank you.
Well, I want to jump in here too. I want to echo what Greg has said. I want to address what Jim said about this should be a city project. It absolutely should be a city project, and it should have been a city project for the last 5 years. That falling down should have been, heads up, number one, that we need to relook these, and that the chamber shouldn't have to come and say we need welcome signs to the city. The city should proactively do this, but the city has not shown any interest in doing this. And, for one reason or another, and I don't know, I haven't heard the reasons why the city's not taking this up, just know they aren't. And now we've got our second sign getting ready to fall over. I actually think it's great for the chamber to take kind of proactive lead on this and to say we'll have the artists involved. Now, if it's going to have lights on it or not, that's for the commission and the design review board and the artists to come up with. That's not for me as a TAC committee member to say it should have lights or it shouldn't have lights. But I think that we need to support this and give some significant amount of dollars to this, so the chamber can go to the city and go, hey, we think it's going to be $70,000. We've got 35 or we got 40,000 with us. Come in and partner with us and let's get this going. And if the city doesn't want to do that, then then the chamber is going to create a sign on their own. But I think that this is an important thing that benefits our community. And to say, well, we're Cannon Beach, we don't need signs. That's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. And maybe the chamber should come back with a request for a signboard next year. I think, Mike, that's a good idea. And remember that when they asked that it was your idea to fund it. But I think what we need to do is support an organization that's proactively trying to help this community in this manner.
I'll just add, I woke up this morning in Bandon and drove all the way up this morning. And I purposely checked out the signs, every sign I went through. And Cannon Beach is definitely at the bottom of the list.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some very creative, Yahat's is beautiful. Wallports is awesome.
Awesome. Debbie, I just came from Newport, did the same thing. I took pictures of signs.
Yeah, right here.
Yep.
And I also Yahat's and their new fire station. But anyway, it's sad that ours is in this condition, and everything Steve said, it's great that someone's coming up and saying, let's fix it. And this is a way to kind of get it done.
Cripes, they're making me go to 40. All right,
Well,
I'm going to 40.
So I want to, Jim and Mike, are you guys going to move on this at all, or are you going to stay at it's the city's?
Well,
thing?
I'll say that since Steve's called me ridiculous, I will say that I'm willing to.
I did not say you were ridiculous.
The idea was.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But I think, I think that there's some merit, especially if it's an artist project. I have some doubts that the council's going to come up with the other 35, but my other problem is that I am the chair of the design review board, and I'm probably going to be, judging it down the road. I don't know, Ashley, if that has anything to do with it, but.
No, it's no, I'm assuming you're not paid for being part of that.
Right. So I guess I would go with 35.
and I also will move to match that number on the basis that, the chamber brought up a
Well done,
need. And
Being
the
proactive.
city
They are being proactive.
needs to respond.
I will say, Mike, to your point about the sign, I have commented before driving into Seaside about how perfect the sign is for Seaside. It is It is spot on their brand and lovely. It would never be the sign you would choose for Cannon Beach. And I think, and one of the things I asked Jim when he was sitting here was, I'm assuming the whole point of involving artists in Cannon Beach is that it would be reflective of who we are and not have a crab and a wacky thing like this and a seahorse. I mean, I love that sign for Seaside. It's completely on brand, but we would want something that speaks to who we are. And so I'm 100% on you on that one, but I do think signs are welcoming and are actually helpful in leading people to my store anyway, which means they're helpful to all of you guys too. So.
No, yeah, no honky tonk
no.
aspect.
No.
So Jen, are you able to tally that?
41, 167,
Correct.
44, 167.
44, 167.
I can still do math.
That's something we can work
What
on.
was the percentage?
I didn't do it.
63%.
63. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was a good discussion.
It was good. Nice job, Greg.
Okay. Fat Bike Festival.
Fat bike.
Okay.
Where are we at?
Not a lot, very,
Steve, you're down. I'm curious as to why.
You know what? Because here's why I'm down. I was down because I was trying to give everybody a haircut to get. And what I see is that we are, as an organization, we're $15,000 below funding for a total, or for the funding amount. We're at 385 consensus versus 400 as an ask. I'm going to go up to 15,450 in this.
Wow. Bike.
Me?
yes, Mike?
I don't know. I'm not sure I understand the whole draw of the thing. I guess, it sounds like a fun thing, but I'd like some discussion about how, and not just this event, but all of the events are supposed to, self-wean and, are they making an effort to do that? Are any of the long-term, events they're charging substantial amounts of money for their tickets, self-weaning? And I don't see it here, but I think I said 10,000, so I would stick with that.
Okay.
Well, geez.
I think this one actually has a possibility as it gets more well-known to actually be self-sufficient.
I agree.
I mean, they had to take a year off because of COVID, but I do think that this one, if it becomes a thing, especially as Coochie Creek gets, or that the whole trail system gets more, I can see this becoming a thing all on its own without TAP funds.
Is the
As
Coolty
opposed to something
Creek
like this.
aspect,
Pardon?
sorry, just a random question. Is the Coolty Creek trail component new this year? Did they do that in years past?
That was years past.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the
To the fat bike.
Fat Bike, year one was just a beach ride and a couple other in-town events. Year two was going to be part of Colucci Creek. COVID happened and Greenwood Resources said, no, you can't have any things because of COVID is my understanding. It wasn't because they couldn't do it. Year three, assuming COVID's not a thing, they will be part of the next year's portion and maybe some more on the Greenwood rides and all the logging roads and stuff. I don't know that specifically, but that's how it was mentioned in their plan. And they have weaned themselves a little bit. I can't remember the first year, but I think it was 19.
19 or 17. Lee.
17 was last year.
Yeah.
Which did occur.
Yeah.
In April.
Yeah.
And I remember everyone was talking about it. There were a lot of bikes around and stuff. So year three, you had the Colucci Creek component. Thank you. You had that component. You had, it's growing. If they double in ticket sales, that would be a good thing. And that wean it in half again and then be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Number 4, something like that.
To your point, they were 17K last year, right?
17,325.
Yeah, and they're asking 15, For
Yeah, so they're asking.
me, I was there, we're coming down. Yeah, it's the right, they're on the right trajectory is what I was thinking. But
I mean, if you're concerned about that, Mike, then I would point you to Gitlit, which is never, ever, ever going to be self-sustaining.
Or Coaster Theater.
Or Coaster Theater, so be careful what you wish for.
That's,
love
yeah,
it,
I know.
but it's never going to self-sustain, ever.
I know, but I feel I'm much more inclined to support the arts or organizations ad nauseum than recreational things. That's just my bias.
Understood.
I'll tell you, and this is a question for Ashley in the way distant future, but I had this notion from the start when Val and I and Julie cooked this idea up that maybe there would be the possibility of a continuing funding, I don't know, it's not a stipend necessarily, but a base funding source for all of the arts organizations, the established arts organizations in town, like the Coaster, like the Arts Association, like, the Gallery Group, that in the History Center, that would just get a chunk of money out of the TAF fund. And then, it got ensnarled with the whole heads in beds thing, which I think is, it's unfortunate. I understand the state law, but, I think the arts organizations, like the Coaster, like History Center, really need to have solid funding and not have to go scrabbling around, and dreaming up other ideas to appeal to the TAC. But that's my bias. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm blathering on. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a specific question in there for me, but I think you hit the nail on the head. And I know that we talked about this a lot a couple of years ago regarding just how restrictive some of those TLT funds are. So I guess that's what I would have to say is that, the city could consider that, but we still have to make sure that we're complying with the statute, which I think you are aware of.
Jen, where'd we end up on Fat Bike?
What's our funding on that?
Sorry, making you jump around.
That is $14,392,
$14,392 at
93%.
Not bad. Okay.
Okay. The Chambers video program.
Video.
Mhm.
The range was 10,000 up to.
Greg Swedenberg, down to 10.
Look at him go.
What's with that?
He's got a bone to pick with those guys.
No. I might have been a little aggressive there and I'm considering a win. This is kind of what Mike just alluded to. This has become kind of like, here's just a chunk of change to keep doing these videos.
Right.
I'd like to see a little bit more of if they're truly being used, not just by the chamber, not just having a YouTube channel, but by other businesses and stuff like that. So it's more widespread. And so if we slim it down a little bit, in a year, and I assume it's going to be an ask next year and we can move it up, but see a little bit more of what we get for that. Now, in this last year, most of the funds were spent for community outreach of COVID stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So, I kind of weigh that out, that I don't think the city would have taken upon themselves to put out anything, not only to cut visitors, but locals alike on, all that kind of stuff. So there were a lot of resources that TAC spent or provided funding for that were used on that. So it's weighing on me. Maybe this is the year I add a little more to what I offered because they've been reduced in this last year. So with that, I'll go to 1250.
12,
And that's a.
12.5 or 12?
12,500.
12.5.
12,500.
500.
It was at 10. And I just like, it's a useful tool for marketing and fits all of that. I just kind of think, we have to find out what the average yearly ask is, and it seems to go up and down.
And I was okay with 15 just because I think, same thing, like they had to use some of the money for this thing that wasn't really like, oh, we have this problem now, let's do a video to address the issue. So I feel like some of that money was taken off of, now they didn't have events to film either because we didn't have any. And hopefully next year we'll have a plethora of stuff to film. So I still feel like, I do feel like, I agree with you. There needs to be a better way of using them other than just a YouTube channel and just on the chamber page. It'd be nice to be able to, I don't know if those are emailed to the businesses, but it would be fun. I wouldn't mind, depending on what's happening. It's like, here's last year's video from Get Lit. Hey, are you guys thinking, to my customers, to say, hey, if you want to come, if you need another excuse to come to the beach, aside from my store, come on and look at this. So that would be helpful. I don't know if there's a way to go grab them off the site or what to do, but maybe you just share them from YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah, you can do it both ways, and my understanding is that, it should be any community member, but any chamber member
Right.
has access to it.
I need to be more.
But is it any community member? Could I go get access to the?
Paid for by community funds. I think
Okay,
they're just kind of the gatekeeper of getting it done and hosting it. But if you're not a chamber member, you could go and say, hey, I want to use this 2-minute or 30-second clip to support my gallery or whatever. And you could do,
Nothing keeps you from going out to YouTube and sharing it on your Facebook.
yeah.
right.
Anybody.
So and it's the pitch that I hear from them is, this is for all the businesses in town to use. And it's basically focused, for the most part, focused on all the events that we're funding anyway.
Maybe we need to strong arm them with a suggestion of communicate that particular portion of this program a bit more so that people actually begin using it in the way it is intended
I don't think people.
by the chamber to be used.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Just spur them to communicate that point better, might get us more active use and bring a better return on the dollar.
You guys had yours that were last year, but they were kind of long. They need to be under a minute. If you're going to do maybe a minute and a half, well, that's pushing it for most people. 30 seconds to a minute is the sweet spot of getting people to look through your video.
Yeah.
So anyway, where did that end up?
That is $14,042,
At,
89%.
thank you.
Okay,
There you go.
what's next?
You want to do, Jim?
Coaster Theater,
Okay, Greg Bell, man,
What did I do?
what a hard ass, 27,000.
Is that the one I
Want to
did?
see Pink Martini? Is that what you're saying?
275.
Yeah, so I came.
That will fund Pink Martini.
Yeah, just
I-
martini.
I came in at a 20% over last year's award is where I was at, because I just,
Was that what you were looking at? What
yeah,
did you do last year? 23.5.
23.5.
And we were giving out that money. Were we giving out this money when we knew about COVID or no? I can't remember. We knew about COVID when this number was handed out.
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
that makes sense then.
yep.
So what'd they spend that money on last year?
They gave a lot of it back, didn't they?
Get it back?
They gave whatever they hadn't used came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine was a simple math approach. I didn't put any emotion into it.
To me, it
I guess I'm
also,
the guy on the bottom though.
having the theater helps build an image of what the community has to offer.
Yep.
I think they're kind of an institution that
Jen, I'll go to 35,000,
35?
35K.
Okay.
Okay.
It's only because if I don't do that, Mike Morgan might call me ridiculous. I don't want to be ridiculous.
No, I'd never do that. Not like Steve.
Total peer pressure. Sinkler started it.
Would you guys like to know the total now?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
please.
43,000.
Jennifer, hold on. Jennifer, I'd like to move up to 49,600.
49600.
That's Stephen, 493,600.
I'll match that as well.
Oh, my goodness. Look at the people going to town.
Wow.
Okay, God, Jennifer, you have to push some more buttons.
Okay, $44,740 at 90%.
Well, there you go.
Gotcha.
Which is twice what they got last year.
The real question though, Julie,
Little, but they didn't have to give it all, most of it back.
And twice the offerings.
Yes.
America's Got
No, not yet. I taped it. I haven't seen it yet.
You are going to enjoy that.
I know I
Okay.
am.
Tolovana, we've got 2 requests from them.
Let's see, which, Get Lit. Is that,
Do we need to discuss Get Lit?
which one are they, Jim? Get
Well,
Lit and,
let's start with a comedy
oh, comedy, okay.
fest.
I was the low one. I'm dubious still.
Me too.
My request is if we're gonna give them money at all, it needs to be more than me that shows up. Somebody else has got to be there to watch what happens because
I didn't,
what I saw was not right.
I did not appreciate Andrew's response to your observation. What I,
I know what I saw and I saw.
my personal opinion, what I saw was, well, that's a nice lady, but that's not what happened. And we're supposed to be here to help give some advice, some guidance, some thoughtful comments about how you might improve your event. And it just put me off. And I'm making it about Andrew, I guess, but
It's easy to do.
I don't think Julie's wrong about, if you heard that you were there and saw it, I don't think a cavalier attitude is the way to approach public dollars that are being used to fund an
I mean,
event.
that's the part that bothers me. This is public money.
Yeah,
And I don't think it's funny or anything to be laughed about to have
Right.
Tommy and Peggy going, yeah.
I don't either.
Yeah, he did count them. I saw him count him. I saw him count Hank, who had both hands up. Ha ha ha, isn't it funny? We're doing this with public money and it's so much fun. I mean, I enjoyed myself. It was good.
Yeah.
He clearly knows some good people in Portland. I like the idea, but I don't like the idea of cheating to get your numbers up. I don't like that.
I think the event's a good idea. It just put me off.
I'm gonna,
I took it
when we
personally.
find out the date, I'm dragging you.
Okay, I'll go with you. I'll go with you. So mine was a personal, but it's clearly a personal reaction to the presentation. Just want to be clear that I wasn't like there was misinformation or something.
What does our number come to right now, Jen?
We're currently at $7,650 and 59%.
I'm the high number in here, possibly because I'm kind of ever the optimist.
You are.
And my hope is that so much of the money would end up getting spent on the talent for the event, which I consider content for an event as opposed to advertising or promotion of event. But I guess I'm kind of the optimist because I was a kind of stick in the mud the first time around when this notion came up. I just want to see him get a chance to do it a little better.
Yep, I agree.
So you and I are the bookends.
We're the bookends.
Yep.
Well,
The other
Julie
thing
and I are.
But I didn't call him on.
Julia, sorry.
Said it was.
Julia.
I go around town and I keep getting asked by people, when's the next comedy festival? And it's like, well, that's part of the problem.
That is.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the people who live here. I mean, of course I care about the people who live here, but I mean, the whole point is you're supposed to be bringing people from
Yep.
out of town, not Tommy and Peg.
Right.
So
Right.
there needs to be a way to get the word out further than the Astorian to get the comedy, to get people from Portland or Vancouver or whatever out here.
But that there is local interest should be an indicator that there's potentially something here.
Absolutely.
true.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Just
Jen.
broaden.
So anyway,
So like, Jen, you had them at 59%, 60%?
We are at-
Sorry, you're typing.
No, you're good. I can bounce back and forth. $7,650,
Okay.
59%.
I got no problem with that number.
Okay. How about Get Lit?
Let's get lit.
I do too.
We are at, just so you know, $32,267, 95%.
So I think I was, what percent did you just say?
95.
Yeah, so I was one of the folks that didn't fully fund it. And I did it kind of across the board with everyone, just because I think you need to pare back a little bit. And I'd like to see us rebuild the reserve that is no longer a reserve. And while everyone loves this event, everyone knows who's involved with it, and it's a feel-good event, and it's great content for the town. It's never going to pencil out, and it doesn't have the scale. But it's great. And the time of year, well, it kind of gets bounced around in the time of year a little bit. So I think I did give it a little bit of a decrease. But I wanted to show support for it and hope that it continues to be successful.
Jen, what was the number again? 32 what?
32,267
32,267.
Thank you.
at 95%.
95%. I got that. Okay.
So I agree
Okay.
with what, I'm going to jump in on the Get Lit, and I do agree with what talking about. It's never gonna pencil out. It's a great event. I gave it a slight haircut at 31. I'm going to take that up to fully funded at 34,000.
Sorry, you're gonna take it up to what?
34.
34.
Fully funded.
34.
So now it's at $32,767. 32,767 and 96%.
96. Woo, inching up.
Well, I'm the stick in the mud, but I'm gonna still stick there. I figure it's a good percentage of funding.
What's next?
Saver.
Savor Cannon Beach. Savor, there we go.
So me and Mike are the low ones. I'm concerned about the falling room night numbers, that it's going to be very severe from 2,800 down to whatever he can manage. I am very disappointed that we funded him at whatever it was, 44,000. And part of the promise was that he was going to work in this off time to support the restaurants more, and he did not. I mean, there was 2 posts on the Savor Cannon Beach page, and they were both about Savor Cannon Beach. There's been nothing posted about come and support our restaurants. Here's what's going on with our restaurants. And I understand his discomfort with not having an answer for the people who have their credit and all that stuff. But I feel like we really were generous last time for this current coming October event. Part of that was for what are you going to do leading up to that to help the restaurants, which were when we had this meeting, they were already really hurting. So I guess I feel like he really should have done more for this one. So I'm a little low. I might be able to be talked up because we are talking about next October's event, not this one. But at the same time, it's not like it's venue heavy. He's going to do small things, and he has a lot of wine already. So, and we're going to be hurting in room nights.
I agree with Julie. I think the, month of October can barely be considered as, a shoulder season anymore. I mean, maybe Greg disagrees with me, but it just seems like with any kind of decent weather, we're filled to the gills. And the other point that I would like to make is that I thought they were on a downward arc in terms of funding because they were becoming more and more self-sufficient, given the fact that there's a lot of, the ticket price is high, and they sell a lot of tickets, and they are becoming much more self-sufficient. So that I think if there's a poster child for self-sufficiency, I would think Savor would be the one.
The
So
problem is the event has changed significantly though, Mike, and to defend him on that point, there's no more 700-person wine walk, and there probably never will be again. So the change he's saying he's making, assuming it moves forward past 2022, is a significant change in the event. So it's less people, still a high ticket price, but it still is not going to bring in the 2,700 number in room nights. So that's going to make self-sufficiency harder to come by than if they just continued in the old way. So just putting that up there.
My take was funding, because what I'm looking for is innovation for an interesting event. I don't want to tie his hands when there's a track record of having been successful in developing room nights in other ways. And for me, this is just support of potential innovation. We can hold his feet to the fire asking about his amount of support for restaurants and other things, and suggest, come on, if this is a long-term relationship, let's build that aspect of it. And I think your point is a good one about how much support he's offered for those things. And we can call him on it, but I'm still going to stick with the support for this. It's the optimist again.
What's the number, Jen, as we stand right now?
$38,450 and 82%.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my number. I feel good about that.
Same
It'll be
here.
interesting to see what the event looks like this fall.
Right.
Yes.
Be a good indicator on what it looks like in 2022. I'm not convinced about the decrease of rooms because it's not one weekend, right? Where it's all or nothing one weekend. I think having it over a month gives us a greater opportunity for room nights versus just one weekend. So I'm not necessarily sold that we're going to see less rooms. Maybe this year we might see less rooms as the event is reimagined, but I don't know if we're going to see less rooms next year. So I'm not sold on that, but I do think that this is to Mike's point about this is a poster child for self-sufficiency. I agree with that. This is an event that has the ability to become self-sufficient, and I like this event. I'm happy to be a sponsor of this event and fund this event, but I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like this year.
Agree.
I agree.
And I'll just chime in on the October timeframe. It's of my opinion that October 15th is the last day of summer. And then October 16th, you can start seeing it. So it's a great month to check this out and see if it really holds true in terms of feet on the street and heads in beds.
We've been saying how many times, like, why doesn't anybody do anything in October? We need stuff in
Yeah.
October.
So if, because just naturally, town's going to be full the first 2 weeks for the most part. And then you'll see a dramatic shift around this year. It's right around the 20th, my favorite day. And so it'll be interesting to see. And then also to, I think it was Jim's point, the track record of innovation, creativity. I think he knows where he needs to get to become self-sustaining someday. And so it's a all new timeframe, all new event. I just kept it fairly high because of that.
And if we
give him a shot.
know that, maybe he could more heavily weight it toward the last 2 weekends in October, have some stuff on the first 2 weekends, but really
Big one happened.
push the big stuff to the end of the month. That would be super.
That's a good idea.
And sunset is squeezing down the days. We start feeling robbed in the last half of October
Right.
of sunlight.
Yep.
And some of the evening potentials for an
Yep.
event here.
You need food and wine when
Could
that
be a-
happens. You have to have
Exactly.
food.
Just to buoy your spirits.
That's right.
You got a big name coming, push it to the third or fourth weekend in October.
They finish at the last of October. It'd be kind of cool.
Finish.
For the record, I'd like to see all of these happen by October 15th to March 2nd.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
All right.
Okay.
okay.
What else, Jim? Are we in a gym?
Our cottage
Oh,
tour,
cottage tour. Cottage tour, where is cottage?
Steve, is your 28 a haircut?
It is.
Yep.
I'll go fully funded.
You demand 31, 150 for Steve. That leaves poor Greg Swedenborg hanging out there in the wind again.
Yeah, I hate to be the Scrooge on this one because I like the event. I think it's great. And
Bad time of year.
it's just a bad time of year. The town's gonna be like it was yesterday on the first week of September.
Yep.
Second week, whatever it is. And I get the points why you don't want to do it in the middle of February. But I think over the years, the Rolodex has grown, because a huge chunk of this is the sunset advertising. And that, to me, that's just like, we're just giving money to Sunset to some big corporation that doesn't have any ties here. And does it bring people in for them? Yeah, sure. But there's also would be people here in town anyway.
Yep.
So less advertising, more, here's something to do while you're here,
True.
is kind of how I feel.
You've got the mailing list.
Yeah,
So do you have to
Good one.
build it up to 20,000 people or can you keep going to the same 1,200? Do we need to build it up to some huge number
Yeah.
and still bring, because those people are still going to come in September because that's when you're going to do this event.
I think it would be money better spent to spend some time and go to the hotels and property management companies and all the short-term rental places and say, hey, please let your customers know, you already have the reservations, just let them know this is happening that day. And a lot of them do that proactively. So instead of just spending money in advertising, because I think across the board, we're spending way too much in advertising. And I'd like to see it funneled down. This is one place that could still be successful, still be something really creative and cool, but not need to spend so much money on advertising because just let people know that it's happening while you're here.
And they still get the ticket money, which is what they need anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
And then maybe there's flaws to that. I
And they can
don't know
still-
exactly how it works.
got the head in the bed because it came from a hotel.
Yeah,
They can still say that we can still meet our state requirements because they can still say may not have come for the event, but they found out about it.
Yeah.
And they still get the money.
I'm
Good point.
that's why I was Scrooge.
I'm convinced that having a good experience is the best sales pitch. Because then that individual's voice talks about it at other times.
Yep. Where does that put us?
We're at $29,483, which is 95%.
Not bad.
$1,483, 95%.
Okay. Cannon Beach Gallery Group events.
What are we gonna do? Does Julie have to do this?
Julie, do you want to?
I can do it. I guess I would start with spring unveiling because the numbers seem to be all over the board. Greg is at 2,700.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you why I was, and Jim can tell me if I was wrong. Now, where's the darn paper? I gotta find Jim's budget paper.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Why you are to be fully funded digital.
I did. So I dropped the entire thing out of the spring unveiling.
Right.
So I
Okay.
thought I did it right? So I
Yeah,
dropped it
2684.
2684. There you go. That's how I got to 2,700.
Yep.
I just wanted to explain myself, so you guys didn't think
So then.
I love
for
spring
those of
unveiling.
us- For those of us that funded it more highly, then are we actually giving you too much money?
if you fully funded the media thing.
Depends on what you did with the
We should
media.
start with that one, maybe.
Okay, that's a good point. Let's start with media. So
can I-
Oh,
Can I insert something? So this is the one that Jim has said that he has an actual conflict of interest, correct?
Yeah, that's why I'm
Yes.
talking.
Okay, so this is a personal decision for Jim. I'm not providing, any legal advice. However, I will point out that the other applicants, aren't here to provide any additional information. And so if Jim wanted to, not, to completely step away from the conversation, I think that that's something that he could consider, just considering that other folks that are applying for the grants are not given the same opportunity.
That makes sense.
Okay.
You have to sit quietly.
Gotcha.
Does make sense.
It's a personal decision for Jim. I'm just bringing it up.
Thank you for the perspective,
Good
Ashley.
point, Ashley.
Okay, so only Greg Bell fully funded the.
Digital.
social-
I
Digital.
fully funded it and that's why, yeah.
And the rest of us have funded it at some level under 22.4. Yeah, just because that there were some duplicates in there.
Okay. So let me tell you where you're at digital.
Okay, deal.
So digital media is at, they asked for 22.4, we're at 16,680, which is 74%.
Okay. Okay, so given that, then I go down to Earth and Ocean. And nobody fully funded at 48,265. Then I guess I was a little high there, given that I funded digital at 18.
So just so you know, for Earth and Ocean,
Yeah,
they're at 36,200. They asked for 48,275.
oh, okay, and what's the percentage on that one? Oh, okay,
You want to just go?
yeah, let's go do all of them then, so then we can see where we are with Spring and Baling.
The Spring and Bailing's ask was 10,150.
Yeah.
And we're at 7,970, which is 79%.
Okay,
And Stormy Weather asked for 7,500. We have 7,100, which is 95%.
So keeping on my theme, that's why mine's $6,000 for
I
spring.
gotcha, I
Or,
gotcha.
stormy weather,
Yeah, I
same
see
thing.
what you're thinking.
I pulled the media out of the budget.
Okay, so then I will also pull the media out of Stormy Weather and go to 6,000.
Let's do that. for you.
So for which one?
Stormy Weather,
Stormy Weather, you're going to 6,000?
yes. I don't know if anybody else wants to drop that too, or drop something. And then that would mean my spring and Baling number is also a little high. So I'm gonna go to 9,000 for my spring and Baling number. Stephen, are you interested in moving any of your numbers now that you know that there's a duplication?
Yeah, no, I took the duplication into account and I just
Okay,
the digital and social media. And then I kind of offset it by funding the events a little bit higher.
okay,
Did Stormy Weather and Spring Unveiling completely and Earth and Oceans, and I just gave it a little bit of a cut, but I took the money out of the
Oh.
digital social media.
I see what you did. Okay, got it.
I did it opposite of what Greg did.
Right.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, then given my going down, where did we end up?
Okay, so for Spring and Baling,
Unveiling,
out of the 10,150, we're at 7,770,
okay,
or 77%.
all right.
And Stormy Weather, out of the 7,500, we're at 6,800, which is 91%.
Okay.
So Julie, what did you do on Spring Unveiling and Stormy Weather?
I originally fully fund Stormy Weather, 75. I've taken that down to 6.
Okay,
And then on Spring Unveiling, I was at 10, and I just took it down to 9.
okay, thank you.
And my assumption is that if there's more duplication than that, if they don't spend the money, then they'll give it back.
That would make sense.
Can I ask what the total number of all of the gallery groups asks are? Can somebody calculate?
Yeah, so just the ask.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I think
that-
it's,
She's got it on Excel. She can do the math quicker than I can do. Thank you.
88,315 is what I see.
Yep, that's what I got.
And then what we just
And then
recommended
Well-
is what?
If you look at the whole for the recommended amounts, then is $34,090.
oh, the recommended amount is what?
67,450.
I missed this key.
Just missed a cell.
And what percentage of that?
67,450.
What's the percentage of that, Jen?
67,450 of 80 something.
Third.
79%.
79. Well, that's not bad.
Well, I think, I would like to point out, and no offense to Jim, my friend and neighbor, but is this not the largest, collectively, this is the largest ask of any organization in the city out of TAC funding?
Over
The combined
the
one?
chamber?
Yeah.
Well, no, the chamber, because they had 70,000 for the welcome
Both sides.
center.
We'll take out forget about the signage, but just for events and marketing stuff. This is by far and away the biggest
Well, the
biggest
chamber,
kahuna.
the chamber without the welcoming sign is 71,200.
Well, I think it's high, it's high for, I mean, they're good events, I'm sure, I've been to most of them, but I think, that's an awful lot of money out of the total budget.
They're all arts related, Mike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Every single one of them is arts related.
Yeah, okay, I get it, but I think there is a lot of duplication. And I think across the board, there's a lot of duplication in terms of marketing and, I see a lot of marketing, advertising, social media, blah, 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 as opposed to content. And, I think in the future, somebody needs to do some analysis of how much money is being spent on promotion versus the actual content, but that's for another day. So anyway, so I'll stick with my numbers.
What do we add up to right now, Jen, compared to the budget? Well, so given our new numbers, what's that number?
So the total ask was 88,315.
Oh, no, I mean, for everything.
Oh, for everything?
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at
Oh, the
everything.
whole thing.
Oh, we're at $391,776.
That's what we've recommended to award.
That's everybody even, okay, those are the last ones.
Yep.
Yeah,
And we have 400,799
Yep,
as a budget.
That's right.
That's a small reserve.
that's not the reserve, though.
No, the reserve is,
The reserve's the $95,000 between the requests and the funding. Right?
no, the reserve, our budget is $400,799
Right? But
minus
the
391,776.
9K,
Am I wrong?
I see what you're saying.
Okay,
$9,000,
that amount will, so whatever that is, $9,000
$9,000.
will go into the reserve.
Remember we used to have one?
We used
We
to
worked
have a
hard at that.
big reserve. We all benefited, all of us, well, some of us
Some
benefited,
of us.
some of us businesses.
But the city should be dropping money into that account.
Mhm.
I thought they weren't going
Payment,
to
huh?
be.
Do we have 3 payments?
There's another payment coming
Oh,
from the
that's right,
county.
that's right, from the county.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see where I would cut any of my numbers. And we are coming out of COVID, so there is an argument for now is the time to do these to get people remembering about us.
That's right.
So are we done talking about the gallery group events or? Something.
I had nothing to.
We haven't actually come up with what the total is going to be on the digital social media.
We didn't? I thought we were at 1668.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
At 74%, Jim.
74%.
Okay, and so from starting there, then are we gonna go through each one of the events after that or have we done that?
Sure. Go to spring unveiling, Julie.
I thought we did this already. Spring unveiling, we came down to 7,700 at 77%.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then stormy weather, we came to 6,800 at 91%.
okay,
Earth and ocean, 36.2 at 75%.
okay, so nobody moved on Earth and Ocean?
I did not move on earth and ocean, so
Okay.
no.
Okay. All right,
And so then that 391,776 is the total recommendation from us at this point, unless somebody wants to change any of their numbers.
okay.
Sounds as though we should total and let the dust settle.
Do we have to make a motion for that? Is that the plan? Is that how we do
Yes,
this?
This would be, you guys would then make a motion to recommend those amounts to council.
So is there someone who would make a motion to,
I will make that motion that we recommend the numbers that we have just stated here, adding up to $391,000, $776 for the TAC awards for the 21-22 year.
Second.
Oh, Stephen got it. Take him, Jim.
all right,
Okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Okay, the ayes have it.
Okay, so just so you guys know, let me tell you when this is going to council, because I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it's soon.
We will have to select a date for the next meeting.
So this is gonna go to the July 13th work session. You know, we always present it at a work session first, and council will vote on it August 3rd.
August 3rd.
So TAC, and it's not TAC policy, sorry, TAC recommendations. And I will plan on being there. And is that one of those 5 o'clock meetings or 7 o'clock meetings?
They're all 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
July 13th, 6 o'clock.
I will definitely be there. Great. Just in case they have questions.
Yep.
Jim will be there too.
I'll be there. 'Cause I want to see you answer questions.
And then August, what was the date on the day they're going to vote?
August 3rd,
And that's 6 PM as well, right?
6 p.m. We made it easy, all meetings are.
Thank you.
Yay. All right, 6 PM.
Okay. Basically, that
That wrapped it.
covers what we need, except for anything for the good of the order.
What is our next meeting?
Well, that's, you need to select our next meeting.
Okay.
What is our next meeting about?
Meet to discuss TAF guidelines, goals, suggestions, and concerns. That's what's on my checklist.
Okay,
And I have my notes, July or August. So July 30th is when final evaluations due, copied for TAC. So if we do it after July 30th, we'll have, if we do it in August, it looks like we should have the final evals for those events. But you know how they're filtering in it kind of
Yeah,
off, you know?
right.
Sounds good. I have to look at my very busy social calendar. August is fine.
Yeah, I
Pick a date.
there's nothing in August.
Well, not the first week, maybe. I am
Can't go anywhere.
Big Peninsula. Any day works. August, whatever Greg Swedenborg can do.
I'm getting to my calendar. I'm gone.
You get to go somewhere in August?
He gets to go places.
How do you do that?
It's actually the easiest time of year for us.
Really?
Yeah, because people are staying long term and
You don't have to screw around with overnight or, yeah.
returning.
Gotcha, okay. That makes-
I am gone the 12th through the 21st.
Good for you.
So last week,
We're staying a long time.
yeah,
Last week or the week of the 9th, early in the week.
or the 24th.
I'm trying to look through this. I don't know if do we have to do it in July or August? I mean, could we do it in September even, if that works better for you guys?
Do we need Ashley at that meeting? We don't need Ashley. at that-
Nope, I don't think so.
And I don't think you need me, you can tell me differently, but for the rest of this meeting,
Nope.
would it be okay if I signed off?
Yep, we're good.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. or-
Stay cool.
Thank you.
Very cool.
so I'd like to make an announcement. I am planning on resigning from this august body. And not because I don't like all of you and enjoy working with you, but I've got other obligations that are kind of pressing down on me. And also I'm probably going to have a conflict of interest because my wife is thinking about some kind of an event involving gardening at our little greenhouse establishment up here. So I will probably have to step down anyway, but anyway, I've enjoyed working with you, and I know it's a great cause and a great I think it's wildly exceeded what we thought it was going to do in the distant past when we came up with the idea. So anyway, thank you very much, and good luck to everybody.
Well, Mike, we'd like to thank you because you were instrumental at the very beginning of this whole notion.
Yep.
And your ideas will be thought of, referenced, and we'll come back to them even with your absence. Thank you for your engagement, and we look forward to any further engagement, either whether you're a member of this committee or general public.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you resigning now or are you gonna send me an email so it's official?
I will send an email to you,
Okay,
Jennifer. Yeah.
perfect. We'll move forward from there.
Okay.
So we're still trying to get a meeting.
Yes,
We're still
we still
trying.
need the meeting date.
Jennifer's now pouring into October, trying to find us a date.
Well, I was just looking, like, I'm reading through the checklist, like, we meet to discuss the guidelines, goals, suggestions, and concerns. There's the fourth quarter disbursements. At some point, we review the final evaluations. But you know how that's kind of filtering in a little bit different. So I was just trying to see, like, if August is rough for you guys, maybe something we can even do at the beginning of September, just trying to make it easier.
I mean, I can do August as long as it's on the correct days.
I can do August
I just have to make sure it's a day that I have a second
or
employee.
the beginning of September. We leave on the 12th for like 3 weeks.
Oh, look out. That sounds
Almost,
delicious. Where are you
See
going?
the grandkids.
Oh, fun.
The main stop's LA, then we're going east to Tucson and then Grand Canyon and a whole bunch of Utah
Sounds
stuff.
ridiculous.
Nice.
I mean, I can do that last week in August, then Greg's back 23rd and 24th is good for me.
Yep. I can do those dates.
I can do any day in August with those other ones.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Any day in August other than those other
Same
ones.
for you, Jim?
Yes,
24th would be better for you probably, Tuesday?
Tuesday,
yes.
Just guessing.
Tuesday the 20th. What do you think, Jen?
That works.
Tuesday is bad for farmers markets.
Oh, farmer's market.
Hey, farmers.
Pancakes.
Yes, they
Steve,
cut
thanks.
ham.
So
Sorry,
if we can do Monday, that would be preferable.
Ooh.
Unless Monday is,
Mondays work for me too, because I've got staff
Absolutely.
coverage.
Very cool. So TAC meeting on Monday.
Is there a room available?
There is a room available. Do you guys like 1 o'clock seems to work well with you
Yep.
guys? Do you want to
Yeah.
start with 1?
Yep. I do.
Or we can change it to 12 just for Greg.
Nope, 1 o'clock. I've now got that programmed in here. You know, Rusty used to send me a note when there was a meeting, but he doesn't do that anymore. I don't,
Okay, so Monday, August 23rd at 1 PM will be our next meeting.
boom.
Perfect. All right. Day one.
Okay,
Cool.
Excellent.
and if there are no objections, I will call this meeting to an end.
Thank you, Jim. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you soon.